So, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the second segment of this summit. Earlier on, we had a panel discussion around the fundamentals. The fundamentals, which is basically conceptual for people who want to start businesses. How should you go? What should be your immediate considerations? And we also considered what industries, what opportunities, which industries have these opportunities. And we had a very good panel group of Chris Folayan, Ted Creighton, and Lisa Kemba. They did a great job of that. The next segment, we're looking at country of Canada specifically. And we recognize that there are lots of activities that have happened behind the scene, in front of the screen, and we have people who are key players. We haven't just brought people who have peripheral knowledge. We've brought people who have hands-on knowledge, who have been even entrusted by the Canadian government to help them. What the Canadian government has done, similar to the US, is to approach what is called a Keynesian approach. Keynesian approach in economics is where there's inflation, but what you address it by pushing money, pumping money into the economy in hope that it will revive the businesses. And that's the approach that the Canadian government has taken. And we have players in that industry. So there will be three gentlemen who are all here and are ready. I'll start in no particular order again, because every one of them is doing a great job. First of all, I'll start with the gentleman who has $160 million and is looking for who to give it to. He represents a company called Face Coalition. I forget the full meaning of Face, so I will not try. It's federal. I know F is federal, and I think C is Canadian. That's all I remember. But he's going to be telling us about, he's their marketing director, and we met very late last year and with him, and he's one of his, a member of his team, Priscilla, and we had a very good time. We did host an event in December last year, and I'll be very upfront to tell you that that event is one of the reasons why A&E, we changed our name, because we realized that we were shooting too low by just focusing on Nigeria. So I'd like to welcome you, Augustine Fisher. Great to have you here, and thank you. And next, I'd like to welcome a man who I met. Fortunately, somebody recommended him. He's gone along the journey, further ahead in the journey. He's the executive director of Federation of Black Canadians. And he's done a lot since 2018 or thereabout, when he started this organization, also a not-for-profit, but they're doing wonderful things, and he'll be sharing that along the line. So you're welcome, Chris Thompson. It's great to have you. Thank you for making it here. And last and by no means the least, what we advertised was Dr. Olutoyin Oyelade, who's the CEO of CASA Foundation. And CASA Foundation, and she's also the head of, I think it's Invic Cap or something along those lines. And she's one of the 43, CASA Foundation is one of the 43 ecosystem partners that have been entrusted by the Canadian government to, again, provide training similar to what YEDI is doing. They've been entrusted with this, and they're doing a great job of that. So, but you know, when Dr. Toyin Oyelade saw the flyers around, I think she panicked a bit, and she said, look, I'm going to say somebody else who's going to do even a better job. And so she sent her program director by the name of Mayowa Adebiyi to come and represent her. And I'm sure that he would do even better than she would have done. So it's great to have you, Mayowa, and probably you tell us more about yourself. It's great to have all of you. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time and for making it here. Let me just check I have a question that I've prepared for you. I'm just trying to, okay. So the question is, what opportunities exist for Black-owned businesses in Canada? And what, if any, role are you playing? I'll start with Augustine Fisher.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for having us here. It's been great listening to Lisa, Chris, Ted, and Rick. I've been taking notes since the beginning of the session. So before I go into, what opportunities exist, I like to give context, going by the keynote from Rick, the why, and to interest us to note, and Emmanuel, you touched on some of these statistics that I'm going to be sharing, but I thought it was important to set the tone and give context as to to why, the government set up the Black Entrepreneurship Program. So during COVID in 2020, the government set up the Black Entrepreneurship Program to help Black businesses in Canada. And in the words of the Prime Minister, it was to level the playing field, eradicate systemic barriers that stop Black businesses from thriving in Canada. The IFC had said that small businesses are the backbone of any economy. And it's interesting to note that in Canada, you have only about 1.2 million small businesses or employer businesses registered in Canada, and 1.1 million are small businesses. And if I may ask, what is the percentage of that are Black-owned businesses? And to just say it's 2.4%. So you have a total of 144,000 Black businesses in Canada, right? So of course it's too little. And the African Canadian Senate Group did a study in 2021 to understand, what those barriers are for Black businesses. And one of the things they found out was, funding or access to funding is one of the greatest barriers affecting small businesses or Black businesses in Canada from thriving. And 75% of the respondents in the study said that they had difficulty getting $10,000 to start their business. Okay, 19% said that, they did not trust traditional financial institutions to help. And then 31% said that, they didn't get the funding that they applied for to any of these traditional financial institutions. Some other information before I go into this is to say that only 1% of Black businesses get funding from venture capitalists. Only 1%. So in the 144,000, you only have about 1,000 businesses that could maybe sometimes get funding from venture capitalists, right? And another study says that only 4%, so I've heard, Ted and Rick say this, only 4% of Black businesses are still in operation after 4 years, right? Now, that is the reason why FACE exists. So the founders of FACE, during COVID went to meet government to say, hey, so yes, you're trying to help businesses in Canada. You set up the CEBA. CEBA is the Canadian Emergency Banking Account. But because it is being run by traditional financial institutions, the systemic barriers, the stereotypes were still going to be exclusive or exclude Black businesses. So the government set up, the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund or the Black Entrepreneurship Program, which is, so the Black Entrepreneurship Program is the umbrella body, and you have three components. You have the Black Entrepreneurship Loan Fund that FACE, which is the Federation of African Canadian Economics, manages. It's a $160 million loan fund. And then you have the Black Entrepreneurship Ecosystem. Because another study says that over 57% of Black businesses do not have a business plan. So yes, Lisa, you talked about it. Chris, you mentioned it to say the external things. Ted, you also talked about it to say a business plan is critical for any business, and over 57% of Black businesses do not have a business plan. So the Black Entrepreneurship Ecosystem was set up for the three organizations funded by government to help Black businesses create those documentations or those plans that are required for them to become fund ready. So either they're looking for a loan, or they want to get investments, or whatever else it is that they're trying to get, they need a plan, right? And that plan will show financial projections and those kind of things. And then we also have the Black Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub as part of the Black Entrepreneurship Program. Now, these three components were set up because, of course, before then, there was no data on Black businesses. And even up until now, we're still trying to get those data to be able to show and see the contribution that Black businesses are making to the economy and see the growth in those Black businesses. So I work for the organization FACE. We manage a $160 million loan fund, and we're really looking for Black businesses to give these funds to ensure that we truly become a catalyst for Black generational wealth in Canada.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. Crazy, honestly, yeah. So let's step into it a little bit. Probably one of the best ways, factory,
Sorry about that commercial interlude. Well, thank you very much, Augustine. You've done an excellent job, and I'm happy I picked on you first because you've provided a very good background, which will segue into the next one. So we can either go with Chris or let's start with Chris. Chris, let's have you. Chris Thompson.
Okay. Well, hello. Thanks for having me. Again, name's Chris Thompson. I'm the Executive Director of the Federation of Black Canadians. I think what I'm going to do first, because a lot of mine is way too long. I'm going to break it up into sections because one of the biggest efforts I'm here to do is try to provide the audience on here opportunities and the groups that are kind of doing projects or to support Black entrepreneurs in Canada. So I'm going to try to put this in the chat again. Maybe one of your staff people can take it off and click it and send it to them in smaller chunks. But you can see what I want to do right off the bat, because I have a limited amount of time, share a link with you with several organizations. Some of what Augustine, thank you for coming and speaking on it. I have you face listed there as well, so they can go to these organizations. So while I put those links there, I'll start with a little background first. So again, the Federation of Black Canadians, we're a national non-for-profit. Our goal is to advance the social, economic, and political interests of Black Canadians across Canada. We do have several pillars of our work, one being economics, so appreciation for the Black community and development, in which our BEP program stands under, but we also do things under justice, health, a lot of advocacy. Prior to speaking about the Black Entrepreneurship Program, a good point of that is that was in lobby efforts for about 7 to 8 years prior to actually being part of it. So a lot of organizations, a lot of individuals, including FBC, was doing lobbying prior to 2016 to have a lot of the issues addressed, anti-Black racism recognized by the federal government, and the need to have direct dollars on the budget that goes to Black Canadians. All comes from that. As you can see, I've shared now a list of organizations who are now embedded and directed and focused on supporting Black community and entrepreneurs and building from everywhere from ideation to activation to loans, as we have on here, so financing and a lot of opportunities. So if anything, people remember everything I'm saying, at least people copy that list, at least I'll get you started with a bunch of organizations that you can look through. I don't know if I won't have time to go through all of them, but I wanted to make sure I left you with something tangible that you could take away and start doing research and finding, because I think everybody who's spoken before me has done an excellent job, so I won't do that. In terms of the program that FBC offers, to be honest, we look at ours is a Black Entrepreneur Program out of that ecosystem fund, which my brother here, Augustine, spoke about. Ours is a $1.3 million fund in which we are doing mentorship, business planning for pre or early on founders. But I listed a whole bunch of organizations that we work with to send them through the whole stream from early all the way to advancing or sustaining your organization. When we set it up and we're looking at the ecosystem, one thing that we were specifically looking at, a lot of the speakers focus on it, because right now entrepreneurship is a very much it's a flagship word that a lot of people are using, but we don't know if all understand or are ready for all aspects of what entrepreneurship is. So, it's nice, and I work with a lot of young individuals, right? And they all want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't really understand what goes into it and what the choices they're making to understand it. So some of the speaker before me said something like, you have to have a strong interest for what you're doing. Another speaker said, you have to be willing to even probably work 1 or 2 jobs to even get this going. And most people are saying you have to be willing to go through and handle the ups and downs and a lot of the downs that happen and being able to get through it, and your passion and your education and your focus at learning about it is going to be key. So FBC took our direction on it was to take that early on. You're just thinking about entrepreneurship. You hear the word, you may not understand it. You were thinking about it. You may be interested in doing it, but you're not knowing. So we teach them the understanding and knowledge of what it even means to be an entrepreneurship, help them develop a little bit of idea, but we're really doing that backbone. Like, this is what all goes under entrepreneur. These are all the titles, from being the CEO to being the janitor to being the cleanup crew to being everything. We teach them about banking, financing, legal, marketing, to get them prepared to decide whether entrepreneurship is actually the route they want to go at, or if the traditional route is there. because it's being talked about a lot. It's hit, everybody wants to be their own boss, but what does that really mean? You know, and what does that really happen? And you know, a lot of people are fancy with what they see on social media, with everybody traveling, doing all thing in entrepreneurship. But is that really what the journey is about? And then on top of that, looking at the kind of the direction, the history of Black entrepreneurs, we try to mentor and peer them with others so they can see what the construct of how it's been, the journey, especially in the Canadian context of the Black entrepreneur. So we focus a lot of that through an 8-week virtual kind of course, and at the end of it, we offer pitch competitions where you know those get support to develop their business plan, their pitch, and they can pitch for $5,000 to $10,000 to start off their business. So that's a little bit about what our program does. We're about in our third cohort. We've already probably serviced or worked with over 120 or so pre or early on founders. And we're at the stage of doing their pitch competitions now, and we'll be doing another one. We do national, so everybody's eligible from all across Canada, and we will be doing a special one just for Francophone entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs in Quebec as well coming up. So I will stop there, just allow somebody to speak, but I really wanted you to get the resources that I put in the chat and to learn a little bit about what we offer here at the FBC. But I think everybody who's gone before me, you covered a lot that I didn't need to go on.
Thank you very much, and you've done very well. Thank you. So now hand over to Mayowa, who, like I said, is representing Dr. Olutoyin Oyelade. Thank you very much. Please, over to you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for having me. What a great introduction. I definitely will be letting her know, you know, Emmanuel thinks I'm much better. So thanks so much for that. It's great to be here with the ENE Global. Like Emmanuel mentioned, I'm here representing Dr. Oyelade, who's the president and CEO of CASA Foundation. My name is Mayowa Debi. I'm the program director of the programs at CASA Foundation. And it's been quite exciting listening to all the speakers that have come before me, especially Chris, because there are a number of things that they've done that's kind of similar. It's great speaking with, you know, people in the same ecosystem and same family faces, like, you know, Augustine from FACE, who I met at the Ontario Chamber of Commerce last year. So to get into the question, really, what opportunities exist? So, I mean, since the whole George Floyd thing happened, we've seen some improvement in, you know, government's response, the programs and initiatives from the government, the number of networking and business associations, you know, FBC as mentioned, FACE, CASA Foundation, you know, BBP, the number of people in the community that, you know, now have stepped up and do what we have done. CASA Foundation started in 2011, and many of the things we have done to sort of, you know, bridge the gap for Black entrepreneurs fall under 3 umbrellas. So we believe in sponsorship, partnership, and mentorship. So I would just quickly touch on all 3 of them because I think that's what Black owned businesses actually need. These 3 areas are sort of the core to Black businesses. So sponsorship, this is the big elephant in the room. The truth is a number of people would need capital to start their businesses. How we help, as Chris mentioned, we also have pitches, we have opportunities to win grants, $5,000 to $10,000. In the last year, we've had 50 people who won between $5,000 and $10,000. That's about $250,000 of grants. We help people develop their business plans to get loans from places like FACE Coalition, for instance. We have different vehicles that do this. So we have the Black Advisory Hub, for instance. That's an accelerator for Black businesses. What we do in the Black Advisory Hub, really, just like any other accelerator, we try to bridge that educational gap. You'll be really surprised how many people come into the program who can't even talk about their businesses, who can't pitch their businesses. We also help people with like the financial aspect, people letting them understand, you know, they need to also protect themselves. Even though you're becoming an entrepreneur, you know, we need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So if things go south, for instance, you don't want to get too affected and be homeless, for instance, have legal structures in place, things of that nature. We have like BAE, which is a Black Entrepreneurs Youth Initiative. So this is targeted towards innovators, so people who are kind of, you know, not doing the same thing, you know, for instance, not to throw any shade or anything. We have, for instance, we've trained well over 7,000 people. And I would let you know that a number of them, for instance, maybe food businesses. For instance, there's a need to help them, but there's also a need for Black businesses or Black people who have special innovative ideas for us to support them, and that we do that through Bay. With what Chris mentioned as well, there was, or rather, wrote to me like Emmanuel called him, there was the there's an arm called C Labs. What we do there, there are a number of entrepreneurs who need help. So we train people in digital marketing, social marketing, digital marketing, e-commerce, social media. We train them and then we actually place them with different entrepreneurs. We pay the salaries for the first quarter, for instance, just because it's a win-win situation. After we've trained you in digital marketing, you've gotten some skills that you can then employ to help someone. And then the entrepreneurs, they can't really, number of small scale businesses can't really afford to have like, a digital marketer, for instance. And then, we place them there and we pay the salaries and, it's a win-win situation, tons of success stories through that. And that's one avenue as well that we've helped. So what I would just like to round up with, because we're mostly Nigerians from what I can see here, and we're Black people as well, I would like to use this opportunity to kind of let us, let's not hoard information, because in Canada, for you to, go from one level to the next, it's important to move as a team. We're all industry partners, we're all entrepreneurs, we all want the same thing. What I realize is we need to do better as a community. With some of the statistics mentioned, that's just the ugly reality of things. But I strongly believe if there's that, herd mentality of let's do this together, a number of those statistics wouldn't remain the same. So I'd like to round up with that and give this on to Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you, gents. You've all spoken well. And I'll just take you up on one of the things you said, Mayowa, towards the end. You said we're mostly Nigerians. That's true, mostly, but not all. While you were talking, I did send the newly created WhatsApp group for the Black community outside of Nigerians, and I'm happy to let you know that 2 people have already dialed in. I don't know who they are, but they're obviously in this group. So we're moving. I see a name called Khatija Yusuf. I doubt if that's a Nigerian. Sorry to call you, but I imagine that are you able to talk? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I am. Hi, everyone. So as you know already, my name is Khatija Yusuf.
Yes.
I'm not Nigerian. I'm from Comoros Islands in the
Beautiful.
Indian Ocean. My husband is actually Nigerian.
You shouldn't have said that. I was happy until you said you have kept it.
Why? And I actually came to the event thanks to Ted, because I've met Ted a very long time ago when I moved to Canada my first year. So yeah, so this is how I heard about your event. So.
Oh, thank you very much. And thanks, Ted. Thank you for that, for the connection. All right. So the second part of the question to the gentleman is that you've spoken very well about the initiatives and what you're doing. Can you please give us 1 or maximum 2 success stories? Not in terms of numbers. The numbers are good, but in terms of people who came, with people that you have permission to share, obviously, and how you've been able to support those businesses. For instance, I've taken a look at Face Coalition. I've seen some videos you've done. So whoever of these you're able to talk about how through the availability of fund loans, you're able to turn direction and made a dream a reality. So I don't know who wants to go first, because I imagine maybe some people may, I don't know, which of you is happy to go first? In no particular order.
Okay, go ahead, Manuel.
Okay.
Okay. The first time they went reverse, I'm like, okay, we might as well do that this time as well. What I can mention a number of business names, not to just to keep their private information personal. We've had, for instance, Mitchnat Fashion, who she's in New Brunswick, and she had a dream to become a fashion business, for instance, and she came into the program. We sort of helped her with the educational piece, for instance. She was one of the pitch winners. We got the grants of $10,000, and she's turned her business around. It's an amazing success story. She's on the magazines, appearing on TV and news. She has fashion shows. There was one that happened sometime in August, downtown Toronto, where she had a show where she hosted with other fashion people in the industry. For the Friends of Africa, she was one of the people who also had the had products displayed, and I think that's pretty amazing. We've had other business owners. There's a particular lady who she's even appeared on Dragon's Den. Her products are now on Sobeys. She came in not even with a business name. She came because she wasn't she wasn't quite sure what direction to go, and you know, she's come in. She won a $5,000 grant. She learns how to pitch a business. She appeared at Dragon's Den. She got some more money, got an investor. She's, you know, have her products on Sobeys market, and she's doing pretty well. And I mean, we've trained well over 7,500 people as of June 2023, as shown on the website of FedEp. So, I mean, there will be a number of success stories, but due to time, I will let Augustine just, you know, also mention some of his as well.
Thank you very much. So just to respect what you said, and that was a good point, the second person will be Chris Thompson, and then Augustine in that order. That's the reverse order, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. With us, I'll actually try to look for the one name of the group. So most of our groups come into us without, again, same thing, without fleshed out business ideas, some without their business name, and they flesh it out. One of our organizations, though, through going through the 8-month program and with an accelerator, and at the point of when they were right about to win one of our pitch competitions, they were actually notified that they had a request for acquisition on their company. This was after a year or two, they had acquisition, and so they were already on the verge of being bought out, going through ours and our select partner, a Black Founders Network program, which was huge for them. Thinking that, you know, I had just over a year and a half ago, you know, we've been able to put them through the training and quality, give them their first one, the first kind of $7,000 to $10,000 it was, to see the growth. And they came back as a mentor and have participated as mentoring previous groups or new groups coming in. So that's one of the things. But that's, I mean, on a more marketable aspects of the program. But bigger than that, I think the success story is that I really touched me was when we were getting ready to do some of our pitch competitions, and we were meeting with the groups. And the groups that had all registered separately, didn't know each other, we identified that, again, like a WhatsApp group had grown. So these are individuals that are in different provinces, from Alberta to Ontario to Quebec to New Brunswick. And they had been keeping contact and helping each other through the whole thing, even getting ready for the pitch competitions, and built up a little network. So even though it started as being our 8-week program, I was humbled to understand that they became bonded, and their continuation of working with each other lasted past that. And they had their own groups going, where now they had a network of entrepreneurs that they were working with through our program. So, you know, can't take full credit for that, but I love that FBC was at least able to create that platform to have entrepreneurs connect in our program and continue that connection after that program to support each other. Some of them would go to pitch competitions and support each other, or virtual if they could. And I think that was huge, that a network was continuing outside of our program. So that's kind of what I'll share there.
Great.
Beautiful.
So
Thanks. Yeah, go on.
My turn. Right. So we're not a bank. We're just a fund manager. So it's difficult not to say numbers, Emmanuel, so please pardon me. At the end of our second year in March 2023, we've disbursed a total of 25.4 million to close to 300 entrepreneurs across the country. Now, that's in actual disbursement. In terms of approvals, we've approved over 37 million to close to 500 entrepreneurs across the country. So within 300 or you know, in 300 entrepreneurs, picking one or two might be difficult. But I'll tell a story about one of the organizations we funded. They're called Ladies Love Unit. Ladies Love Unit is set up by two guys, Willie and Kevin. Kevin lost his twin sister to cancer, and while she was going through, you know, the phase, she had challenges with, of course, we know the process, how, you know, your hair drops and stuff. And Kevin and his partner got into the business of doing wigs that fit for African women. And they're one of the organizations that we funded. And today, Ladies Love Unit is doing good in the market. Their female wigs are being accepted, you know, and sales are doing fantastic. Just today, one other organization we funded called Amen's Kitchen in Mississauga, they're opening their second store today in Mississauga, later today actually, that we also funded. Now we've also funded tech companies. I think Kobo Trade, the into tech trading platform. We've also funded, you know, some automobile workshop. We funded a TV station, actually, Media House, that we funded. One other brand that we funded that many of us might know, there's the Nigerian bread. I forgot the name of the brand now, but they were also funded by Face. And today they have franchises across, you know, the country. They are in, you know, big grocery stores across the country. So yeah, we funded, you know, over 300 business that are doing great. Yeah, Matlock, thank you, Uche, for saying that. Great Matlock, the Nigerian bread, you know, it's all over the place. When they started, they came to Face. Now, one of the limitations we have though, according to our agreement with government, we cannot give more than 250,000 to one entrepreneur. So we're limited by that. Some of these businesses, especially Great Matlock, for example, they've gone ahead to raise funds from other alternative funding opportunities out there, because of course 250 is not a lot and it's not enough when you want to really scale, right? But it started with us. So yeah, we have quite a number of success stories. You can see them on our website. On Instagram, we have an hashtag called Funded by Face. You can click on that hashtag on Instagram. You see many of all those other success stories there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the detail, and I'm sure, I mean, I was surprised when you say you didn't know the bread, because people down here, and I'm sure Uche, I'm not surprised it was Uche that provided that information. And by the way, let me acknowledge Uche Okugo, if he can show his face. Uche is the president of the Network of Nigerians in Canada. He's also the past president of Rotary Club of Brampton. And third, and by no means the least, he's the coordinator of, now it's been a while after said that, but can you say it, of maybe you should say that one.
Yes, I am the Investment Attraction Coordinator, African and Caribbean Markets, Economic Development at the City of Brampton.
All right, so great to have you. Permit me to also recognize a few community leaders. Now, everybody is important, and I don't say this to belittle what you do, but there are a few people who are here because they also represent other groups. Earlier on, we had Mercy. I don't know if she's still here. Mercy, can you please repeat or reintroduce yourself for the purpose of this? And I don't know who else is on the Leadership Association group that's founded for Nigerians. Is there any other person here who's representing, who's leading or any group?
Yeah, my name is Mercy Itohausai. I'm from the leadership group. I'm the president of Women of Dignity International, and I'm also a member of NNC. You just mentioned my president, Uche, right there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see if Rosemary, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm pharmacist Rosemary Ehiemwa. I'm from London, Ontario, Canada, and I'm the CEO and founder of Black Community Employment and Empowerment Services, a Benin woman from Benin State. I'm here in London with my husband and my children.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody has been duly recognized. If I didn't mention you, I apologize, but I'm trying to give opportunity for everybody who's in that category. Okay, good. However, the next thing is I'm going to share my screen so I can show the results of the cities. Earlier, I asked people to tell us what cities you are in, and this is what the result is. So I'm surprised that the cities are so few, though, because because I know a gentleman, Dr. Ekunle, joined very early, and he was in, I think he said he was in Saskatchewan. I don't, or that we're not able to type. Let's wait a bit more so that we can. Can I have you please mute? Can you please mute your phones? Thank you. Thank you very much for that. So we have Oakville, Toronto, Durham, London, San Francisco, Oshawa, Los Angeles. Okay, I'm in Milton, and I apologize. So I'm also guilty. I did not get to type because I'm doing many things behind the scene. So I'm in Milton, but okay, I see Caledonia. It would be nice to see.
Brampton is represented.
Okay, Brampton. Is there anyone else outside of Ontario? I'm actually trying to see people outside the footprint. So that's
yes, from Alberta.
Alberta, okay. Where exactly in Alberta? Edmonton, Calgary?
No, Sherwood Park, just 15 minutes from Edmonton.
Okay. Wow, Houston, Texas. That's I wasn't surprised with San Francisco because that's where Chris Folayo is based. But Houston, Texas is an interesting. Please permit me to ask, Houston, Texas, can you please self-identify, and also LA?
I put in LA. This is Chris. I put in LA.
Okay, LA. Okay.
Yeah.
So who's Houston? Is that one of your fans?
Possibly.
Okay, well, maybe the person is not here this time, but at least we have a fair knowledge of who is here. There's a gentleman in Lagos who I work with on different. He was supposed to have joined by now. I don't know if he's joined, but I know that he wanted to be part of this from Lagos, Nigeria. Well, anyway, we have a good. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so I will stop sharing this. And this will be the end of this particular segment. So next will be the Q&A session. And to be honest, guys, the Q&A in my experience is usually the best because that's where we have an interactive session where we give you the opportunity to ask your question. And then some of the depending on who. So we have two, now we're looking at everybody from, including Dr. Phillips, if he's still here. I'm not sure if he's still here, but all the 6 panelists will be happy to address your question. So if you want a pointed question, please let us know who exactly you're asking from, since you've had the opportunity to listen to 6 of them. But if it's a general question, they will also take a stab at it. But before we go on, I'll just end this recording, and I will come back almost immediately.